Good evening, everyone. Man, what a day. What a day. We are on a little bit later than normal. We are going to do a special edition today. We're going to be talking about 375 AI. They had their TGE today, and we're going to break through in this session the case for 375 AI, what they're doing, not only their use case, but their leadership, also some alpha that was shared as far as customer announcements. But we're also going to dig into the tokenomics, and we're going to take a look at where the price is today, where it launched at, also dissect how many tokens are in circulation. And I'm going to break down why I have personally been adding to my bag today, where the current price levels are. Of course, I have to remind you, nothing in this video is financial advice. You should always do your own research. Let me post real quick on X so I can announce that we are now live. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Hopefully everyone's having a fantastic evening. If you are a 375 AI fan, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Are you stacking? Are you selling your airdrop? What are you guys planning on doing? Are you staking? Curious what people are doing here. Let me post this and we'll get underway, y'all. Okay. So 375 AI, they are doing edge processing. So data collection, but processing that data at the edge. It's incredibly valuable data. Now, they have a few different mechanisms that they're doing this with. But yeah, they recently announced that they raised $5 million on top of $5 million they had already raised. So they raised a total of $10 million to this point. Obviously, just launched the token today, but their flagship model is something called the 375 Edge. So this thing is comprised of 6 different cameras, and they've been strategically placing these in high traffic areas. They have NVIDIA chips at the edge so they can process the data in real time, and they can then monetize that data. Now, you might wonder, how are they finding locations for these? Because obviously, if you're putting this type of hardware out there, these really high quality cameras, you have NVIDIA chips at the edge, you obviously want to put them in good locations. Well, they happen to have an exclusive partnership with a company called Outfront Media. And Outfront Media has billboards in prime US locations all over the country. In fact, it's estimated that Outfront Media and their billboards are seen by more than 70% of Americans every day. Okay, so when I say they're everywhere, they're freaking everywhere. And once you see this, you will never be able to unsee it, because every time I see a billboard now, I look for this. They're on like every freaking billboard, guys. And 375 AI has somehow their founder. We'll talk more about him in a minute. I imagine he's the one that's orchestrated this somehow. But they have an exclusive partnership with Outfront Media, and they have access to all these billboards in high traffic areas to put their hardware. Okay, so again, this is what this looks like. They're capturing data from vehicles, from people walking, construction area, whatever it may be. And this is what it looks like on the back end. They've created this dashboard so they can click around. They see their different locations. They can then access the cameras in said location, which they're going to do here in a minute in this demo. And again, they're processing the data at the edge. So they're able to see unique vehicle identifiers. They can see how many people are in the car, etc. And you might wonder, what is the value in this? Okay. For public service, sure, certainly that's one use case. But when it comes to commerce, okay, and this is something that I actually interviewed Harry, their CEO, and there's something that came up. He's like, yeah, you wouldn't believe how much of a blind spot there is when it comes to trends in commerce. And he's like, what percentage of shopping do you think is done online today? And I'm like, I don't know, probably 60, 70%. I think about Amazon. I think about after COVID, people transitioned over, right? Y'all, this is staggering to me. But in 2025, in the first 5 months of the year, e-commerce only accounted for 18.4% of retail sales. 18.4%. Okay, over 80% of retail is still done in person. There is a massive blind spot when it comes to understanding, spending trends in person, in brick and mortar, to the extent that, you have hedge funds. Of course, they have their algorithms, right? They want to understand different trends in the market and in the economy. They'll pay top dollar just to get access to freaking satellite images of retail locations, of their parking lots. Now you have this data set where you can fill in these blind spots in real time, vehicles passing in certain areas. I should add, they're strategically right now placing them in areas where you have docks, right? Where you have your major ports. So they can see that the trucks that are coming in and out. So not only is this going to be valuable for your hedge funds that are looking to get better data for their algorithms to understand what trends are happening in the economy, but you think about transit, right? Shipping companies are going to want to have this data. You have public service. It's a data set that hasn't existed to this point. And you could argue that maybe some municipalities have cameras in their cities, but are they processing at the edge? And there's no place you can go right now to get a holistic view of the country. And that is what they're building out at 375 AI. Okay. The total addressable market, you can't even really calculate it because, again, this is a brand new data set that's never existed before. And when you have the processing at the edge with NVIDIA chips, like it's really mind-blowing, actually. And I'm going to get into the team behind this because that's obviously very important as well. But the other thing they did is they made it so that you can participate in other ways. So they're not just collecting data with their flagship model, the 375 Edge. They have the 375 Go app. And this is something that anyone can download. It's free to download on your phone. And it's collecting a different type of data set. It's calculating the connectivity. And you should see the amount of people that have downloaded this app and are participating. In fact, a lot of those people got airdrops today. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But this is an easy way for anyone to participate. And for people that are more hands-on, because the 375 Edge, obviously, that flagship model is showing, they have the locations already, locked down for that device or for that hardware, if you will. They want to put it in really high traffic areas. Obviously, there's going to be areas, though, that aren't captured there, right? There's going to be some other blind spots, if you will. And that is why they also are going to be releasing something called 375 Street. Okay, so this is for those people that are more hands-on and deep in. There's a lot of y'all out there, I know. You'll be able to get this hardware. It's comprised of 2 different cameras instead of 6. And it's something that you can set up on your own, okay? So if in your area, maybe it's not as much of a high traffic area, it doesn't mean it's not important. It just means that it would be overkill to put a 375 Edge device there. In this case, you could set up a street device and start earning tokens for participating in the network. Okay, so they are building this thing out in real time, and it's obviously very impressive what they've been able to do. In fact, this is something that came up in our Deep In Happy Hour last week. If you haven't checked that out, you should. And this is Quez, who is on the 375 AI team, talking about a potential customer announcement.
There is news of a partnership coming like really, really soon with a Fortune 20 company.
Google?
I'm not going to say yes or no to absolutely anything, nor will I confirm nor deny absolutely anything. But I will say that, I quite like the quietness of it. I can't say much more else because honestly, truthfully, I actually don't know much past my partnership. Like I'm just not in those conversations, quite frankly.
And that's fair, Quez. But a Fortune 20 company, and this is a trend we're starting to see more and more, especially with this new, round of token launches with DePIN. They already have revenue. They already have contracts. They've already built out the network to the extent that they have product market fit. Okay. This is a new concept. If you're around for the last market cycle, you had a lot of supply being built out in the sense that you're building out a network, but a lot of them weren't getting usage. A lot of them weren't generating revenue. We're getting to the point where some of them are now years later, but this is actually wild. I mean, you have a project that had TGE today that already is working with a Fortune 20 company. Okay. You might wonder, how are they doing it? Well, a lot of it has to do with this guy, Harry Dewhurst. Look at this guy. Look at Harry. He was Forbes 30 under 30 back in 2016. But it's not just that. Oh, man. I'm not able to pull this up. Let me see if I can pull this up over here. I had to pull up his LinkedIn on a separate browser because I don't have my personal LinkedIn on here. Let me see if I can pull up his work history on here, guys. This Harry Dewhurst has quite the work history. Let's see if we can pull him up. Ah, yes. Here we go. All right. Mr. Dewhurst. Because he was the CEO of Linksys. like in his 30s. This is a company that's been around forever. Raised $160 million in new funding for Linksys. Came in and really turned the company around in a matter of 2 years in his tenure there. Before that, worked for Bliss. They also had a successful exit to a private equity firm. And before that, he co-founded Amobi. Guys, they sold for $321 million. Okay, this guy has executed time and time again. And that is why they've been so successful already with 375 AI. Not just Harry. They have a freaking solid team, guys. It's not just Harry. But if you want somebody to be running the ship, that's who you want to be running the ship. Okay. And it's actually people like him. And there's some other really solid founders in DeepIn, but seeing this type of talent come into the space, I think it just further reinforces like we are in the right place. Okay. Obviously, market conditions haven't been fantastic. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more here in a minute. And why we have really a great opportunity, in my opinion, to be getting into this project. And actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the tokenomics here, guys. This is a full breakdown on their token distribution, if you will. Okay, and you'll see I actually did create a chart to calculate the circulating supply, but we'll go down the list here. The main ones I want to talk about here: the team and core contributors and the private investors. You'll see there's a 45% allocation there. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. And 0% of those are unlocked today. They have a 12-month cliff, meaning that after a year, they'll start to unlock tokens. But from there, they have a 3-year vesting schedule. Okay. A lot of projects that you're seeing in the DeepIn space, there may be a year or two vesting schedule. So they have a 3-year schedule after a 12-month cliff. So these tokens are not going to be in circulation anytime soon. In fact, these investors and core contributors and team won't have all of their tokens vested for 4 years from now. Okay, so that's really important to call out. Some of these other ones, like listings, 100% is available today, but this is going to be something that's used to get different exchange listings over time. I should add that today they did get listed on Kraken and Bybit. Okay, so 2 pretty notable exchanges, but they're not spending all these tokens today. Okay, these are going to be used over time. Partnerships and marketing, same thing. Yeah, they're vested, but these tokens are going to be allocated and used over time. Okay, so the vast majority of these, while they're technically circulating, it's not like they're hitting the market. Same with the treasury, guys. Okay, another 100% available at TGE, but going to be used over extensive period of time. Liquidity provisioning. So this is for liquidity for your DEXs, for your exchange listings. Again, another one that's not going to be used right away, even though it's vested. I'm gonna show you the actual market cap based on circulating tokens. Okay, but I want to call this stuff out because it is important when you look at how much sell pressure can there be based on the circulating supply. And then community incentives, 40% going to the community. It's fantastic. 15% at TGE. Now, a lot of these are going to people that have had the 375 Go app. That were participating, got an airdrop today, and they basically had the decision, and this if you participated, to take it all at once and sell it with the ability to sell today, or you could lock it up for 6 months or a year and increase your allocation by doing so. So pretty much all the buy pressure I'm going to show you, all the buy pressure we're seeing today, I think is a lot of people that got that airdrop that opted into unlocking right away and selling. Okay. I would imagine that selling will likely get exhausted very soon because those are really the tokens that are only the tokens that are going to be adding sell pressure right now. And then you had the public sale at 3%. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. 50% of those unlocked today. So if we actually look at this, and here's the breakdown. It's not the prettiest breakdown in the world, guys, but bear with me here. We looked at look at the different categories I just walked you through. How much is vested? And here's the technically the circulating supply based on those vesting periods. You'll see the vesting schedule for the remaining. Okay, but in circulating supply here, and this is the total. So you have just under 2% of the supply is technically circulating. Again, I would argue that probably 2/3 of that is not going to be hitting the market while it's vested. That stuff they're going to be utilizing, the token allocation they're utilizing over time. The current token price might have moved since I started my stream, but 0.044 cents. Guys, the market cap right now, based on the total circulating supply, is like $8.7 million. Are you fucking kidding me? That is egregiously low. And again, when you consider that like 2/3 of those are technically really locked up because they're not going to be utilized, I mean, you could argue that it's probably closer to like $3 million. But I think it's really important to call that out because they had some early investors. And number one, they had a public sale that was live like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Those were valued at 7.5 cents or 75 million fully diluted valuation. Okay, 50% of that unlocked today. The rest is going to be over a 12-month linear unlock. But again, when the token's under this price, I can't imagine those people are selling. Okay, so that's not adding to the sell pressure. But again, 7.5 cents. Then you look at their early investors. The last round, which closed in July here, 55 million. That was 0.055 cents is what the early investors were buying it at. And you look at the seed round from August of 2023, that's over 2 years ago. These people invested at 0.055. Okay, again, a 1-year cliff. They don't have their tokens yet. They'll start getting them unlocked in a year and then over a 3-year vesting schedule. We're currently under the price that the early investors got in at 0.043. You can get exposure to this project under the price point that the early investors from 2 years ago got into. Sorry if you are an early investor and watching this, you're probably like, I know. But y'all, here's what you have to take a step back and kind of consider what this means. They are launching in probably the worst market conditions you can possibly imagine for a deep end project. I mean, we are seeing Alter more oversold than any time in history. And I would argue that if we were launching in the midst of a bull run, this is not where the price would be. Okay. One of the things that sucked this year is that DeepIn has gotten absolutely hammered. Okay. But you could find silver lining in things. Token launches like this and being able to literally get in and get exposure to a project at a lower price than their early investors. And I would argue that their early investors, like, that was a really good entry point. This is a freaking gift, in my opinion, not financial advice, but to me, being able to buy tokens at this price, you're not subject to any lockup period like the early investors are. This wouldn't happen in a bull run. Okay. So that is why I have been aggressively adding, I'll say. Okay. The best way, by the way, if you're looking to add, so I like birdseye.so. They do have some centralized exchange listings. Okay. But make sure if you go this route that you are not just typing in the actual token. You'll see people have made a lot of fake ones. The best thing to do is to go to coinmarketcap.com and you go down to their contract address here and you can copy it and you can search directly for the contract address. Okay. That's what, if you are looking to get exposure to this project, you want to make sure you're buying the right one. And then from Bird Eye rather, you can actually just, I do it from my phone normally. You can just connect to the site and transact from there. But again, you look at this chart here. It launched, obviously wicked up, came back down. That's all sell pressure basically from the people that had the 375 Go app. Okay. Those are the people that got their tokens today, decided not to, stake their tokens. I would people, okay, I'm not going to say anything bad that, about somebody. Okay. But I know everyone has different financial situations, but y'all, are you crazy selling? Like, why would people sell at these price points right now when you're literally under the early investors? Like, you have to realize that this is because of the market conditions we're in. But if you know what this project is doing, and I get it, like the all this data is and information is out there. You have to know where to look. But looking at their leadership, looking at their partnership with Outfront Media, the fact that they already have a Fortune 20 customer, guys, like, what are we even doing here? Like, how are we even looking at this chart right now? It's actually blowing my freaking mind. And that, guys, is why I wanted to make this about 375 AI. And I did I did this live stream tonight. Generally I do a full on live stream. By the way, if you're new, make sure to follow me on X, but also subscribe to my YouTube channel because I do live streams almost every day. And I talk about all the macro, broader crypto news, and then, deep in from a broader standpoint. I don't normally do deep dives on specific projects, but I felt like this is going to be one of the most important like live streams I needed to do because this is absolutely just like wild to me. All right, what do we got in the? Oh, we got a lot of comments. Sorry, guys. I was in my mode there for a minute. 70% is offline. That's correct. 80%. Yeah, it's higher than I thought. Yep. I have to tell you, like, I was thinking about like hedge funds. Talk about salivating at the mouth for this type of data. They're hitting a whole new market, y'all. Like, this is a data set that hasn't existed to this point. I mean, and not just the collection side of it, but you think about what's happening with AI right now and NVIDIA, leverage NVIDIA chips to process it at the edge. That hasn't been available to this point. Oh, billions. Yeah, it's a great show, man. Let's see. Don't forget the other devices coming out. I think I covered that with 375 Go. On the Go side, 200,000. So that's for the users of the mobile app. 200,000 users collecting data all over the world. Okay, and that in and of itself is also going to be very valuable. Testing connectivity. One of the companies that Harry co-founded that they sold for a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, they were basically leveraging like mobile data. Okay, so he knows how to resell data, guys. He does. Bob with 6,700 tokens. Let's go, guys. I mean, I don't know. And again, I know everyone's got different financial situations. So some people, they're selling maybe because they have to. Okay, so not dogging on those people, but if you're just like looking to just like exit this project, you don't understand the vision of what they're doing, I would recommend at least doing some research and trying to understand what the project's doing. I know a lot of people like to farm tokens and just sell them, but this is one that I believe in the not too distant future, selling at 4.4 cents might be very regrettable. Okay. I don't have a crystal ball, but to me, like, this is, I made this one of my top holdings today. And I plan on continuing to add. Oh, what else we got here? Pump. Let's go. 8.8 is free. I mean, y'all, this is something that you see in bear markets, not something you see in bull runs. This type of launch or price activity on a project of this caliber. I remember back to like 2023. Some of the best investments I made was when the market was really, really down in extreme fear, like we're seeing right now. I had a few that did some crazy multiples. This is the time to be looking, in my opinion, really searching for those hidden gems. This is one that I believe is in that category, in my opinion. Where can you buy it on an exchange? So I did cover that. They do have a Kraken on Bybit, but also you can go through a DEX, right? And I think Bird Eye is really easy to use, guys. You can do a thick through Phantom. Will be interesting to see what I agree. It will be interesting what the ongoing rewards look like. Launch a Kraken bought down. Yeah, man. Whew. Rewards went down. If you look at the app, is it million per token to okay? So Bob has some insight there. Love the team and the devs. Their team is stacked. Their team is crazy stacked. No doubt about that. And you really need to have a stacked team. The days of launching a deep end project and just riding the hype, can't do it anymore, guys. It doesn't work that way anymore. And you really need to have revenue, okay, and tied to the utility of the token, and it's so important. We're seeing like Helium is decoupling a bit because they have so much revenue coming through the door. I mean, y'all, this type of data set, they don't really have any competition. So you just think about how much they're going to be able to monetize this stuff for. It's not too hard to think about them having $1 million, maybe 8-figure contracts. Their market cap is freaking under $9 million. Like what? I couldn't believe it. But again, it is market conditions. I mean, I'm not complaining. And for people that were selling their 375 Go airdrop, like, thank you. I'm buying your bags. I appreciate it. Like, for real. Let's go. Let's see here. How do you get an airdrop? If you participated with the app, you can go to their website. You put in your wallet address. You can check what your allocation is. Hell yeah. So you figured it out, it looks like. 12,000. Hell yeah. Let's see here. What are you going to do when 376 AI launches? Oh, shit. Way to ruin everything, Suburban. I'm just kidding. Love Quez and Mike. Yeah, dude, Quez and Mike are both awesome. Get in the Discord. Get active in there, guys. They're super active in the Discord. Quez is a G. I don't know if you saw, but he did leg day yesterday, guys. He did 375 pounds. Great form also. And he did 2 reps. 400 AI. Oh, what we got here? How far away from are we? So this is a good question. 375 Street. I'm not sure when they're going to start shipping that hardware. I imagine they'll open up pre-orders, I'm sure. But that is a great question. We'll have to ask Harry that. And then fractionalized edges. So the edges are a high cost ticket item. I want to say they're like 50 grand. So it's not a cheap piece of hardware. What's wild is they opened up, sales for it before, and they had one or two entities. They're like, hey, we want to buy all of them. They want to dump like $2.5 million in. And Harry's like, can't do that. Like, we need to decentralize the ownership. And they're going to decentralize further. So for a lot of people, obviously, you don't have like 50 grand to just drop on a node. So what they're going to do is fractionalize ownership so that you can buy a percentage of a node. And kind of and bring down that barrier to entry for people. So that's gonna be really cool. It really is. It's funny. Stop deflecting, William. Seamless airdrop. It was very smooth indeed. It was very smooth. So y'all, that is the dealio. And I'm excited for the customer announcements. I'm excited for them to have the growth of the network. The team continues to deliver. And y'all, I'm looking at these prices as a serious gift right now. You don't have extreme fear in the markets quite like this too often, but it does happen. And that's the time to be looking, to be hunting. As the great Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. And I'll leave you with that. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about what happened with the Fed today, the FOMC meeting. There were a couple of minor surprises, some language that Jerome Powell used that shocked markets a bit. We're also going to be talking about some other pretty big crypto news that dropped. We have some Solana spot ETFs that have officially are live now. We've got a lot of deep in news, y'all. So plenty of stuff to talk about. I'll be back on live tomorrow. Again, make sure to follow me on X. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Oh, I wanted to pull this up too as we exit here. The interview I did with Harry, highly encourage you to watch it, guys. If you go to my channel, just go to playlists and you'll see here you can go to interviews. And I have all my interviews with different project founders. So I've done Daba, Deep, Exhibits, Wingbits, HiveMapper, Demo, GeoNet's been on, Demo. 375 AI, I did Rover recently. So some very solid projects in there. This is a great overview. And you hear it straight from Harry Dewhurst's mouth about everything they're doing. So definitely encourage you guys to watch that interview if you get a chance. I think it does a really good job of explaining everything that they're doing. Try to get him on again soon, I think. So, y'all, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that y'all have a fantastic Wednesday evening, or maybe it's, a morning where you are. I don't know. I know there's people all over the world. And I will be back tomorrow, back to the normal scheduling and doing more of a broader overview of everything. Peace out, guys.